Welcome to Reeves Rants, the voice of the working class. I got a good video for you today. It's the president's speech from a couple weeks ago. It was 24 minutes long. I broke it down the best I possibly could to the important parts I thought. I tried to give the guy a little bit of credit. I'm not completely criticizing his video because there are some motivational things that he says in there, but at the same time, it's just MAGA, 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 MAGA. Just like in the thumbnail, it's this just robotic parroting of MAGA, MAGA over and over again as if that is a thing. That gets into my biggest question. What is MAGA? We just hear this term thrown around all the time, MAGA, 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 ever since Donald Trump ran for president. And that's really what it is, an acronym for Make America Great Again. What we've seen is the Democrat Party completely villainize MAGA and make MAGA this invisible villain that is everything that doesn't support them. The image that has been projected over the last few years, at least 4 years, has been that anything MAGA is bad. That has become a dog whistle, to use what the Democrat Party says. That is a dog whistle, a trigger word for anybody who is anti-Trump. Automatic hate speech for them. An automatic rejection. Oh my goodness, it's scary. An immediate fear is driven into these people who hear the word MAGA and have been programmed to believe that MAGA is an automatic negative connotation. But what again is MAGA? Nobody's put a description on MAGA. In this video, the president somewhat puts a description on it, and that's anybody who doesn't necessarily agree that he's the legitimately elected president. There were some things that went on during the 2020 election that need to be fixed. There needs to be more oversight. There needs to be more supervision by both parties, Democrat Party and Republican Party. It needs to be as open and clear as possible. So when you create a whole atmosphere of you can't talk about something for almost 2 years now, that in itself creates shade. So there are a lot of people who don't necessarily believe that there were voter fraud, but there was definitely something shady that went on. Lack of ability to talk about certain things, that in itself is shady. And that we should potentially look into it. And that the fact that we can't look into it says a lot. So with that being said, if you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. I mean, you're still here. So hit that like and subscribe button and let's roll into it.
My fellow Americans, I speak to you tonight from sacred ground in America, Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is where America made its Declaration of Independence to the world with an idea unique among nations, that in America, we're all created equal. This is where the United States Constitution was written and debated.
And the only reason why there was really a debate is because we had people in America who still strongly supported England, still wanted to stay part of England, did not want to become independent, did not want to declare our independence to the rest of the world in that very place where he talks about. And the debate that went on, the largest debate that went on, was whether we were going to allow people to own slaves still. And the concession had to be made to the southern plantation owners and to the southern landowners that we had to allow slavery as part of our Declaration of Independence from England, or we would have never become independent. And the South would have fought against us becoming our own country. So concessions had to be made to allow the South to continue to own slaves. Those people are the Democrat Party. The current day Democrat Party was the South. It's important to know history.
This is where we set in motion the most extraordinary experiment of self-government the world has ever known. With 3 simple words, we the people. These 2 documents and the ideas they embody, equality and democracy, are the rock upon which this nation is built. They are how we became the greatest nation on earth. They are why, for more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world.
He's right. Even though he doesn't realize that his entire party represents the opposite of everything that he's speaking about. He just said those 2 documents, the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, those are the 2 things that make America America. They are uniquely different than any other country in the world because we, the people, like he said, those documents limit our government. They don't limit Americans. They weren't written to limit Americans. They were written to limit the government. We are losing sight of that. And the Democrat Party doesn't know who they represent any longer. Not that they ever actually represented freedom and equality, ever. Considering, and it needs to be driven home, they were the South. They were Jim Crow. They were the segregationists. The Republicans were the abolishers of slavery. And it needs to be known that. These are facts that need to be understood. Our rights are given to us by God, and the government's rights are limited by our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. And anybody who attacks or goes against those documents in any way, unless to make those documents better, to truly make those documents better, because as our founding fathers even said, to make a more better union, then you are attacking those documents.
Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
What is MAGA? Because he will never define it. We're just talking about an invisible force, Donald Trump, and his supporters. Anybody who votes for Donald Trump. That was half our country last time.
Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans.
The people who didn't vote for us are the dangerous ones. It's always their fault. Watch.
The greatest terrorism-related threat that we face in the homeland is the threat of domestic violent extremism.
Not ISIS, not Al-Qaeda, white supremacists.
So as much as he tries to make a distinction right there, to say that it's not all, but yet they've been villainizing anybody who's not them. Anybody who doesn't support open borders. Anybody who doesn't support wide open voter registration. Anybody who does not want illegal immigrants to have driver's licenses and rights to vote and all the extreme views that the Democrat left is now standing for. Anybody who doesn't agree with those extreme left views is now a MAGA Republican. Some of that extreme ideology is simple things like freedom of speech that has been shut down by a lot of our tech. So if you don't support this, tech censorship, then you're a MAGA, I guess.
But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans.
And that's very simply because people support freedom of speech. They support the Second Amendment. And it's amazing that an actual equality, instead of holding some people down and propping other people up, that's not equality. And so, as much as he tried, you see, he immediately flipped it right back and basically said, look, if you don't agree with our extreme views, you're a MAGA.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election.
Let's claim that it's wrong to object to the certification of election results. Manager Raskin, you'd been in Congress only 3 days when you objected in 2017. It's one of the first things you did when you got here.
I have an objection because 10 of the 29 electoral votes cast by Florida were cast by electors not lawfully certified.
I object to the certificate from the state of Georgia on the grounds that the electoral votes were not...
There's no debate.
I object to a certificate from the state of North Carolina based on violations of the Voting Rights Act.
There is no debate.
I object because people are horrified by the overwhelming evidence. I object.
Objected to the counting of the electoral votes of the state of Ohio.
The electors were not lawfully certified.
I object to the 15 votes from the state of North Carolina because of the massive voter suppression and the closing of polling booths.
There is no debate.
I have an objection to the electoral votes.
The objection is in writing, and I don't care that it is not signed by a member of the Senate. I do not wish to debate. I wish to ask, is there one United States senator who will join me in this letter
There
of
is no
objection?
debate.
The objection is signed by a member of the House, but not yet by a member of the Senate.
Well, it is over.
Let's break that down for a second, because that's completely misleading what he just said. The facts are MAGA Republicans believe that the election was stolen, and therefore the will of the people was actually subdued by people who didn't actually win the election, and therefore you were the one who stole the election, and therefore you're the one who went against the will of the people. And the MAGA Republicans marched on Washington and the Capitol on January 6th insurrection to exercise their constitutional rights, they felt, because they believed there was constitutional amendments that would help them decertify the election. So to say that they don't believe in the Constitution and they don't believe in the will of the people, they actually believe that they were supporting the will of the people and that you weren't. Not to say that they were right and that you were wrong, but to say that that's actually what they were doing, and you're misleading and misrepresenting, again, what MAGA is.
And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself.
You said that raising the issue of election security and casting doubt on the propriety of our elections was dangerous.
There are still legitimate concerns over the integrity of our elections and of ensuring the principle of one person, one vote.
But Democratic Party candidates for public elective office are perfectly entitled to claim the election was stolen, or that the winner is illegitimate, or to make any other outrageous claim they can. It is their absolute right to do so. When Republican candidates for office claim an election is stolen or that the winner is illegitimate, it constitutes inciting an insurrection, and the candidate should know it. Democratic candidates can claim that an election was stolen because of Russian collusion or without any explanation at all, and that is perfectly okay and is in no way incitement to an insurrection.
We should do everything possible to prevent fraud from happening. And anybody who doesn't want to do that, it makes you wonder, well, why don't you want to prevent fraud from happening? And that's, again, the misleading part of this, is that the Democrat Party has no problems with people who aren't registered voters and aren't even U.S. citizens voting. I mean, that's true.
And they see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections.
He's imposing that there will more than likely be riots and uprisings if the Republican Party doesn't win. And then at the same time accounting for the fact that they are going to lose. And the Democrat Party is starting to somewhat accept the fact that they are going to lose. And so now this is part of, again, that dog whistle for all those supporters to say the only reason why it happened is because now the MAGA stole the election.
There are far more Americans from every background and belief who reject the extreme MAGA ideology than those that accept it.
I didn't want to mislead anybody, so I left it in there that he had said it twice during the speech. But he's already labeled everybody who doesn't support their extreme left views as MAGA. That's the association and that's the connection I'm really trying to make here, because it's dangerous. We saw this happening under Barack Obama as well, is that if America didn't vote for Barack Obama, that it was racist. We voted for Barack Obama and we still were racist, because these are easy triggers for fear within a base of people. America as a country lives within the people and the belief system of the people. And if we stop believing in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, then we will fall as a country. With that being said, if you like what I'm doing here, hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Later.